None but the brave deserve this sort of fare. The World Fair at Brussels, with its aerial passenger cars and the giant structure of the atomium, 335 feet high, dominating the exhibition. Its highly polished surface reflects the surrounding scene, and in its topmost globe, this symbol of the atomic age houses a restaurant. Here, at the usual supersonic prices, nuclear fish and chips may be had. And the place is simply littered with little atomiums. Ornamental gardens delight the eye, whilst the splash and stir of fountains fall softly on the ear. In the exhibition grounds stand the pavilions of the countries of the world. The French pavilion, the Soviet Union, the United States pavilion, and on duty at the British pavilion stands a sentry of the space age, Upguards and Atom. Away to the east of Brussels and its fair lie the dark forests of the Ardennes and the watering place of Spa. Quiet squares, cobbled streets, churches, and every attraction for the tourist. These provide the background for another sort of exhibition, of speed and skill over the sweeping circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. Fourth round in the World Championship, and one by one the stars in their courses gather. Jean Perrin and Sterling Moss, and Von Trips, whilst Harry has his little joke, but Musso and the Ferrari management are immune to any sort of shell shock. Maria Teresa de Philippis talks to Godilla. Ken Kavanagh forsakes 2 wheels for 4. Musso and Collins wait for their Ferraris. The Cooper boys are busy on Salvadori's car. And Sterling Moss stands by as Mr. Vanderbilt takes a closer look. Hawthorn talks to Amorotti. His teammate Musso gets ready. The Ferrari is started by the modern method, but Jack Brabham gets an old-fashioned shovel. And so does Jean Perrin in the BRM. One after another, the cars set off for training on the 8 3/4 mile circuit. Shell takes out his BRM. Lewis-Evans is pushed off in the Vanwall. Tony Brooks' similar car has the light alloy disc wheels fitted in place of wire wheels. And to prove that Maserati really have given up motor racing, Moss tries out their new V12 3-litre sports car. Mike Hawthorn sets off into the country. Musso hurries off to join him. But Peter Collins takes his time. He settles himself in comfortably before he too is pushed away. And now let's see what he'll find on his way round. With its recent modifications, Spa is now the fastest racing circuit in Europe. From the pits at the start and finish point, the road goes downhill and left. Then up the Eau Rouge rise to the right-hander, now widened and eased, and with the bumps removed. It's easier and faster too at the 2-kilometer post, a left-hand curve that leads to a right-hand one at the bottom of the hill just past the bridge. Then to the wide and sweeping left and right-hand curves which precede Malmedy. The Master straight and the S-bend before the flat-out stretch to Stavelo. Here the back leg begins, winding on through the left-hand swerve at Blanchimont. On to the hairpin at La Source, and back to the start again. 8 3/4 high-speed miles that take a master like Moss a matter of 3 minutes 57.6 seconds, an average of 132.7 miles an hour. The pits are busy now, and Musso brings the Ferrari in, slightly at sea, his anchors almost away. And radioactive elements get to work. Jean de Bien, sole Belgian in the Grand Prix lineup, has his screen cut to size. It's overtime at the Ferrari pits, and Pete Collins isn't happy about the carburation, although he too has done a less than 4-minute lap. So too has Musso, but not on that one. Shell brings in the BRM, and he's just in time for tea. A Maserati mechanic mends a shoe for Bonnier, leaving the matter of a broken prop shaft till later. Quelle horreur, the French would say, or in English, caw. As a Lotus tread is checked, the Vanwall pit flag in Tony Brooks. After a lap at 3:59.1, Brooks comes to a smooth halt, whilst mechanics start to check the car for signs of gearbox trouble. Officials unfurl the checkered flag that spells the end of training, and Hawthorn sets the mark with a lap at 3 minutes 57.1 to set the Ferrari cat amongst the Vanwall pigeons and win the pole position on the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix d'Europe. Sunday, June the 15th, and 3 1/4 hours to go. In shirt sleeves and summer dresses, the crowds pour in, anxious to get the best view. Anxious, too, to eat their picnic lunch before the great event. The cars come out. Jean de Bien's Ferrari in the Belgian colours is followed to the pits by Collins' car. The drivers, too, parade as, with an hour to go, they tour the circuit. Jean de Bien heads the show, a brilliant display of showmanship, capped, however, by Hawthorn's corduroy. Behind Godier rides Sterling, leading the championship table. Berra, recovered from his monumental practice spin on Master, is followed by the Cooper driver, Brabham. Tony Brooks wears a Giulietta with his duffel coat, but he isn't enjoying himself half as much as Harry Schell is. Peter Collins follows in a Sprite. So does Graham Hill. Has anyone seen my box brownie? Maston Gregory gets a stern look from the Belgian Red Cross. Cliff Allison brings up the rear. Colourful and purposeful, the cars await their drivers, and those last-minute jobs are done. Plug leads checked. Tools laid out upon the counter. Numbers for pit signals, too. Their triumphal tour is over, and the drivers prepare to go to work. And above the circuit, an aeroplane flies low to get a closer look. But down in the Ardennes forest, something stirs. The flag marshal hears it too, as a flock of rare Bugattis remind us of the motor racing past, when nearly 25 years ago, the Spa circuit's fastest lap was under 80 miles an hour. But the marshal takes no chances, and nor do these. All around the circuit, the fun of the fair as the pageantry unfolds. A 1902 Renault shows its paces. And a pack of people's cars has a Belgian color blind. But the hors d'oeuvre is over and the main dish is on the way. It's 19 ingredients lined up before their pits for the 210-mile race over 24 laps for motor racing's most glittering prize, the Grand Prix d'Europe. My dear, the noise, says Mr. Philippis, and the people. Now for the helmet, and the only girl in Grand Prix racing finds it quite a problem. But not so Maston Gregory. Never mind the hat, says Graham Hill. I can only just wear the car. Now the grid assembles. Seidel, Maserati. Gendebien, Ferrari. Brooks on Vanwall. And his teammate, Moss. The clock creeps on. The small, intolerable drums of time as the drivers wait and wait and wait in a sweltering sun temperature rise to danger point. Oil, water, and drivers too as leg muscles tremble, straining at the clutch. And 5 minutes after the 2-minute signal, the boiling field streams off. Moss leads, behind him Brooks, then Gendebien, Shell. The field race through and chivalry is dead as the lady goes through last. At the 2-kilometer mark, and it's Vanwall's 1 and 2, and Collins comes up to 4th as down through the swerving high-speed bends of Spa, the field races on the opening lap. Already Gregory has gone. Through tricky Stabilo they come, and it's Moss, Brooks, Gendebien, Collins. Hawthorn moves up ahead of Berra, and the flag marshal waves like mad. Collins moves up to second place. And round La Source, it's Brooks who leads the 2 Ferraris. Already Moss's race is run. Winner at Argentine and Zandvoort, the Vanwall driver's luck is out at Spa. Another masterpiece in oils. Then Gendebien and the Belgian Ferrari, happy to be 4th in front of Musso, who has Lewis-Evans in his mirror. Then Maserati 32 sidles gently through, but 1 lap down. At the 2-kilometer post, Brooks begins to pull away from the overcooked car of Collins, and Hawthorn too drops back. Gendebien still leads Musso and the other Vanwall, but not for long. The Belgian makes a pit stop to repair the damage caused by a shunt with Lewis-Evans at La Source. Lap 5 and double trouble for Ferrari. Collins retires, a casualty of the chaotic start, and Musso crashes at Stabilo. Now Lewis-Evans races 3rd in a slightly crumpled Vanwall. As Gendebien gets away, a lap behind the leader, and gallantly sets about the task of winning that lap back. Musso walks away from his crashed Ferrari. 6 laps gone. Brooks and the Vanwall take La Source with a comfortable margin over Hawthorn and the Ferrari. A lead increased on the 7th lap. Down towards Malmedy, lapping Seidel once again in the process. Second still is Hawthorn. The master storms along the master on his 7th tour. Lewis-Evans lies third. And Cliff Allison brings the Little Lotus along 4th of the 12 cars that remain in the race. A great performance that really puts him in the picture. Brabham drives in 5th place with the Cooper, a little short of litres over the high-speed curves of Spa. Salvador is 11 laps, and Brooks holds on to a commanding lead, as Hawthorn in 2nd place motors through Malmedy. Lewis-Evans still runs 3rd. Allison on the Lotus takes Eau Rouge ahead of Salvador's Cooper. At the 2-kilometer mark, the Cooper goes ahead. And Salvador is 4th. Lap 13, and Brabham calls in for water. Allison brings the Lotus back to 4th. And Salvador's slipping clutch drops him again down to 5th. Only 11 cars are left, almost lost in Spa's wide open spaces, and the race becomes processional. Hawthorn can't catch Brooks, and Lewis-Evans can't catch Hawthorn, and the Lotus can't catch Lewis-Evans. But Harry Schell goes well in 6th place. And Trantino is 7th. But Genevieve is closing fast in a gallant drive that has the Belgian crowd agog. Well, the crowd is fairly agog anyway, as Gautier goes through 9th. 10th is Bonnier. And last, passing the pits, is well aware that Hawthorn has pulled back 15 of his 40 seconds lead. Brooks is in command, and there are now only 2 more laps. But Mike Hawthorn will not give up. Vanwall number 6 is 3rd. Allison is 4th. Harry Schell moves up to 5th. And Genevieve deserves a higher spot than 6th.